What's up, everyone? You know what night it is? Thursday night, off-centered with Dustin, the personal finance dad. And tonight we actually we delayed the off-centered for a day because I was working yesterday, but it worked out perfectly because today we got breaking news that PSA has acquired Card Ladder, one of the top data tools out there. And so Dustin and I are going to discuss what that means. And we might even have a special guest join us for a couple minutes to give their take on it. Someone that's not only in the industry, but is in the data tool realm as well. So with that being said, y'all know the drill. Welcome back. Now let's get to work. Let's bring on our guest. Well, the first one, the one that y'all really don't really know or care about. Dustin.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. How are those long hours at the mall going? How's that elf suit?
It's brutal because it's brutal. It's very itchy. And then the shoes, these little elf shoes they gave me are only a size 8. That was the biggest size they have. And I'm a size 14. So 12-hour days on my feet. It's brutal. But I'll tell you what, that's $17 an hour, which is like the minimum wage here in California. Totally worth it. Totally.
Yeah, well, when gas is $12 a gallon, then the minimum wage has to be $25 just to keep up with expenses.
It's brutal here. I did move though. I will say that I've been busy the last couple of weeks.
How did the move go?
I mean, I worked about 12 days straight. I worked for an old employer, helping them do the LA Auto Show, which happened over the last 2 weeks. And in the middle of that, I was trying to move. And so they gave me one day off to move. And of course, a move doesn't entirely happen in one day because there's always like small stuff and then utilities and all that. But finally starting to settle in, I feel a lot better. The apartment's way bigger, a lot more livable, enjoyable than that little cave that you've seen me in the last year and a half. So
you have a roommate or no?
What's that?
You still have a roommate or no?
I do. I didn't before, and then now I do. But he's my best friend here, so I'm actually looking forward to living with someone that I like versus just my alter ego and the random cockroach that makes its way in.
You're tired of talking to bugs. You're like, hey man, come just talk to me for a few minutes,
and then they run away. I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah. I've been leaving all this food out for you. What's the problem?
Well, yeah, man. So feel good to start the new year, moved in to a new place, new chapter of life, Hinge dating. It's off and on, but I mean, there's no better place in the country to be a single man or woman than Southern California and on Hinge, because I'm telling you, it is like a ocean of talent. It doesn't matter what side you're on.
Oh yeah, no, I could see that. I can see that. Now, do you ever meet people just out and about, or is it all on an app these days?
Mostly on an app, but occasionally in person. I just don't understand how I'm supposed to meet someone in person when I could do the same thing while on the toilet, relieving myself. So the idea that I can kill
calling an Uber, you just call a date instead of call an Uber.
Yeah, I mean it's efficient to just do 2 things at once. So that's where I'm at. Let's say hi to a couple of guys here. Alanistas, good to see you. Big Guy Sports Collector, good to see you in the house. Troy's in the house. Steve Elmore, what's up, man? Happy Thursday. What's up, Brett? Good to see you as well. Corey, Pigs 76. Brian, where have you been?
Whoa, Brian Kingsley.
That's a blast from the past right there.
And Steve Elmore, too. I haven't seen him in a while in the chat.
Yeah. We've got Hockey 99. Let's see. David Hunter, again, thanks so much for all your contributions on the newsletter, which is really 98% David Hunter's work and then 2% me formatting it. So I really appreciate that. Global Sports Card Investor, I did move apartments. It was really nice. And I mean, look, there's nothing behind me. Everything's the other way, but once it's set up, I'll show you guys. But right now, I don't want to mess up my cords and my mic, and I don't want to ruin the stream this early.
I like how you have a lot of books in the background as if you read a lot.
I collect books so that it looks like I'm smart.
Right.
That's what I do. That's the strategy.
You got an Encyclopedia Britannica back there?
I read it upside down.
Yeah.
I'm smart. AJ, good to see you as well. And let's see, we got tons more. Anyway, man, what's up with you? I've been busy as hell, but what's going on your end?
I mean, tonight, New Orleans Saints play. That's kind of why we did this stream a little bit earlier. I'm pretty kind of dejected about the season. I mean, the entire team is hurt, so, I mean, starting quarterback out, starting running back out, wide receiver 1 out. We've got we just have like the whole team's hurt. So it's kind of depressing.
But aren't you guys out of the playoff contention anyway? So doesn't it really not matter?
Not necessarily. I mean, we're 5-6, so we're right on the fringe. But it doesn't even matter because it's not like even if we squeaked into the playoffs, we wouldn't go anywhere. So it's kind of one of those. It's almost like we should lose the rest of the games for better draft status. It's like I don't know. It's tough, but I'm going to watch it anyway. I'm a fan, so I'm going to watch it
as well. Well,
yeah.
You know what? Injuries suck. Like injuries, the worst way for any sport, anything, when injuries are the reason that your team either wins because the other team's injured or you lose. And you're like, that's such a lousy way to go about it. In an ideal world, it would be, everyone at their best competing against each other. And then we know, okay, the reason you won is because you were the best team, not necessarily you were the healthiest team at the right time. So even the Bucs win last year against the Chiefs, if Mahomes and the offensive line were healthy, who knows what would have happened. But it's just kind of a shame that if you're healthy at the end of the year, you could be a pretty good team and do better than a great team that's banged up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, but everything is good here. I mean, I've got 4 kids and a dog, so my days are packed, and a wife. Throw it all in a stew and mix it up. It's great. No, it's good, but it's just busy.
I'm sure they talk that way about you too. They're like, and we got this like guy that's on YouTube nonstop in the background. I can't even go to the fridge and grab a soda because he's always recording something, and then he reads an article and he has to record another video.
Actually, my oldest son has been giving me ideas about like different wacky things I can add into the video. So like I've got an intro where like it's just my eyes that like in the camera. It's like bloopers type stuff where I'm like, is this on? Oh, it's on. Like it's all a bunch of like bloopers type things. So I was going to do shorts like that, but I'm like, I'll just tie that into like the regular videos. So
that way it'll be watchable. That's good.
Yeah, I've got to throw some comedy in. The information is mediocre at best, so I got to throw some physical comedy in there.
Absolutely. Dominic, great to see you as well. I did not hear about this. Look, I've been out of the loop on cards for a while. I got a lot of work going on, a lot of big things outside of cards. I'm trying to get ready for next year. Okay, so there was something here. Where was it? There was a comment about PSA, not the acquisition, but PSA announcing regular service pricing. Did you get that?
This email. So I just saw something on Instagram. I didn't get an email, but I saw something similar to what, whose comment was this? The $110 from, yeah. So anyway, I did see that same message, but I haven't seen anything official from PSA yet. Yeah. From Loco Card Collector. I just saw something on Instagram that was basically like, and it was from a different, subber that was basically like, hey, we don't have anything 100% from PSA, but that's what we're looking at is $110 or whatever it is. So
I mean, that is not that's not really like groundbreaking. I don't know what is on my chin. There it is. Okay, it's off. I
think it's tough to get excited about $110. I mean, it's still a lot of money. I mean, it's like,
yeah. And I mean, like, look, the real question is how low will it eventually get? Because there are 99% of cards are in that extremely low category where you're like, is it even worth getting graded? Versus, of course, this is going to be worth getting graded. So we'll see where it goes, but
it's just not a huge difference. 110, 150. Like, it's like, I mean, it's a difference. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a lot. I don't know. I mean, if you think about where people were coming, think about where it was a year ago, where people, where were you? You were paying $12, $10.
I mean, I think my first one was $8.
Okay, so that's what people were used to. And I know Nat Turner said, hey, I want to get back to that point, but how long does it take for them to get back to it? Is it going to be another year before they get back to a $10 sub, which is fine, but I think that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like when we go to the grading side, when the grading is caught up with, I'm going to feel a lot more confident about going in on cards. I think the whole thing that has been just lousy is the fact that the cards that are in a lot of our reach, like our range, our price range, is that $100 to $1,000 card or 50 to 2,000 or something like that, where it's right there in that range where we buy a card and then it just balloons in pop count. And unless you're in that $10,000 card, $20,000 card range or something like that, this is a real concern, you know, and it sucks to like be a part of that while it happens. So I'm actually looking forward to that next year when the majority of all this stuff is just caught up with, and then we can start all over again and go, okay, now we know.
Funny, though, you know, it's funny. Like if you look at what people are saying, it's like, hey, you know, now we know what cards not to send in, you know, like, oh, there's all these cards that were sent in that should never have been sent in the first place. But think about this. So if at some point next year they go back to a $20 submission, you don't think that people are going to be sending base Prism rookie cards in at $20? I think that they will be. Not like every rookie, not every rookie, but they'll send a lot of them. They'll send a lot of base stuff in.
Well, of course. Well, the other idea is okay, let's just say it was a risky call to do a base Prism of a rookie at $20 a card. Like, let's say you're like, I don't know. But when you realize that other people aren't submitting at $20 a card, and you're going to be one of the only ones to have this card in a PSA 10, all of a sudden the numbers look really good, and then you do it, and then everyone else realizes the same thing, and they do it, and then all of a sudden that's when the pop counts balloon, the card goes down in value. So part of it is also who's going to do it first, get their cards back, and sell it. But anyway, that's another discussion. We got bigger news.
The other thing I would say to that too, just kind of on the back end, is just at $20 submissions or even $25, $30 submissions at PSA, there's such huge variety now that people are looking at to send in. I mean, forget about Prism basketball or whatever. I mean, think about all the oddball cards. I mean, I've got Abraham Lincoln cards from 1880 that at $30, I would send them in. You know, I mean, I'm not sending them in at $100, but my point is there's so many different types of cards now, you know, tennis cards or whatever, golf cards, whatever the hell it is. They're going to be backlogged like crazy at that price point because there's just so many different types of cards that would go in at that price range.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's something also to think about, whether you're collecting or investing. One of the biggest questions I'm asking myself is, what price point would someone send this in at? And that's why a lot of these $5,000 cards and up are, you're not, they're rare for one, but you're also not seeing the pop counts go way up just because it already made sense at $300 a card. If it's roughly $5,000, if it's worth $2,000, it's worth it right now at one of their higher tiers to send it in. So you don't have to worry about like, man, are there tons of them sitting there? Because more than likely people didn't submit them through a bulk service or a $10 or $20 service. So anyway, we might have a special guest in a bit. So I want to talk about the big topic of the day, which is PSA announcing that they're acquiring Card Ladder.
One request before we dive into the big topic. One request. Next weekend, I'm going to the Raleigh card show. There's a card show here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Chris from Baseball Card Collector Investor Dealer, he reached out to me and was like, hey man, are you going to the show? I'm thinking about coming to the show possibly. And I'm like, dude, come down to the show. Anyway, what I need, anyone that's watching that also watches his channel, make sure you put a memo on, you know, comment on his video and say, go to Raleigh, you know, go hang out with Dustin and Raleigh. Cause I think that would be fun. I've met him before at the National, but I think that would be a good time. So anyway, I just wanted to plug that, going to the Raleigh show next weekend. And I want Chris to join me there. All right, go ahead, Brad. Go on with your
Will you be making content, Dustin?
Oh, of course, man. We'll have like pre-show strategy in the show, post-show cheeseburgers or whatever the hell.
And then a review video of your content that you created during the show.
Oh, yeah. And then let my emotions of finding out later I paid too much for cards.
Yeah.
You know, like, what the hell? It's like a 5-minute video of me just complaining.
Well, you have to overpay just so you can have that content available.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So big news is PSA acquiring Card Ladder. I saw that this morning when I was putting together my newsletter. And by I mean David Hunter's newsletter via me.
Thank you, David.
And then I shared that with you, and then 4 minutes later, you had your video out. So first, tell us your thoughts on the situation.
Well, the thing that's funny, like Brad never breaks news to me ever. I'm always like, "Hey, man, did you ever hear? Have you heard this?" And he's like, "What?" Like he's completely clueless.
Who is that?
Yeah, like I don't know who that. What's SGC? No, but like he never breaks news to me, and he's texted me, and I'm like, this can't be right. Like how did he get this before I did? So yeah, literally, I didn't even respond to him before I grabbed my phone to make my quick reaction video to it. So sorry, guys. I know it's annoying. It's breaking news all the time, but that's just part of how the channel has evolved. So yeah. So the video went out. My initial reaction is I'm not entirely shocked by it just because of all the acquisitions that have been going on, period. I don't think anything is really that shocking. Also, I know that those guys have ties, like Nat Turner and the owners of Card Ladder, they know each other. They have a rapport, so it wasn't really all that shocking. And just the way the PSA Collectors Universe, they've just been buying up everything. So it's like, and I put it out in my video. I'm like, guys, if you want to start adding content to the content library, the Personal Finance Dad channel, we are open for business. Not Brad necessarily. We can cut ties with Brad.
Yeah, Dustin's like, please acquire me. This is so draining. Please acquire me.
I didn't want to do this on the live stream, but I have been in talks with Nat. Nat's like, no, he hasn't.
He offered $4 for me to never make a video again, and I countered at $5.50.
It was crazy. He offered to pay me to shut down the station. I was like, well, I don't understand why you would want that, though.
This is it.
Yeah. Hold on. Camera's rolling.
What we don't know is that Dustin's actually a twin. I don't know which one I'm talking to at each stream. There's another one of you that's recording something else right now.
It's funny. My dad actually is an identical twin. So there you go.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. Speaking of which, I got to invite Neo to be on because I've never had him on here. We met at the National, really nice guy. And I've just gotten really comfortable just talking to Dustin and then the previous guests that I've had on already, but definitely got to bring Neo on or at least ask him if he's interested.
Troy, for the record, I got my video out 4 minutes before Neo's today. And the reason why I know that is because we were pinging each other about it. So we always joke about that. Like, oh, breaking news.
Well, there's also a text to Dustin, which was, I'm putting the video up now. Let's see. I texted him. Let's see where was it? Let's see, today. Yeah, everyone's going to see your phone number, by the way.
Oh yeah, please don't do that.
No, I'm just kidding. It just says Dustin. And it's today at 9:34, PSA acquired Card Ladder. Wow, really? You got the news before me. And then two texts later, my video on the topic will drop in 7 minutes. Lol. Seriously, though. Correction, 4 minutes. It's out.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, your thoughts are it's nothing surprising. You kind of saw it coming. Anything else? Anything profound or just surface level?
Well, I guess part of what I'm wondering is how are they going to integrate it? So if I'm thinking about like the PSA website, how would it be integrated there? I guess what I'm kind of wondering is the UI, kind of the visual, like how's that going to look? Is it going to be like population report and then there's going to be sales data tied to it? I'm wondering how they're going to utilize it, and it'll be interesting. I'm sure there's going to be good ways to use it. I know, the main knock on Card Ladder is not enough cards in the database. And that's really the main knock. It's not that they provide a good service. I use both Market Movers and Card Ladder. I like both tools. But the one thing that I like about this is I think they're going to be able to scale up, so I think that's something that's a positive for those guys. So, and I reached out to him and said, congrats.
Awesome. Before I give my take, it looks like our other guest, the one that people are probably actually interested in hearing from is.
Wait, am I going off? I'm like, thank you, bye.
is in the house. Might not be someone you expect, but definitely someone that I'd love to hear their input on. Some guests I've had before that we've talked to. Let's bring him on right now. It is Teapot Tyler of Sports Card Investor. What's up, man?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good,
How are
good.
you?
So a
Good.
bit of background. Obviously, we all know the news about Card Letter being acquired by PSA. Dustin made a video on it and had a response from, I believe, Jeff, of Sports Card Investor. And then you DM me saying, "Hey, would you like a little input or like a statement?" I'm guessing more of like a statement, because the question is also, what does that mean for the other data tools? Does that mean Sports Card Investor is going to, or Market Movers is going to be acquired, or what does that mean? And so what's the statement, or what would you like to say on the matter?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this news wasn't particularly shocking to us. Obviously, it didn't. I mean, when it came out, it was like, oh, wow, it actually happened. But I think Jeff mentioned it. He and Nat had spoken in the past, and about Market Movers and about Sports Card Investor, and obviously somebody like Nat, who's this isn't his first rodeo, is going to do his research and try to go out and determine what's going to be best to help him build PSA and Collectors Universe. And Jeff, after a conversation with them, said, look, our goal as a company isn't to be acquired. Our goal is to continue to build our brand and to be to have the flexibility to do what we feel is best for the hobby, for our business, for our employees. And that's something that when you get acquired, maybe that's your goal. A lot of startups, that's their goal. Like, you put in the grind and the hustle, and you want to get acquired, and then that's a nice payday. And a lot of times, I'm sure, obviously, Chris and Josh will continue to remain involved in the business, so that's sort of a win-win for them. But in Jeff's mind, he's had successful businesses in the past, many successful businesses. He continues to have those businesses. And so when he started Sports Card Investor, this was like a true passion project, and it went places he never saw it going. And obviously, it's continued to grow, and our team continues to grow. And so, he met with the team today, and he said, look, we have a great culture here. And I would second that. And I just moved my family from Michigan down to Georgia to be with this team. We have an awesome culture, and it's great having Jeff as our boss, as the leader of the company, and not, waking up one day and going, oh, wow, we have a new company, and we have a new benefit structure, and we have new people we have to report to, and we have to kind of play by their rules. So, we've gotten to know a lot of people at trade shows, at card shows, at the National in Toronto and Dallas, all over the place this last year. And what we can see is that, there's a lot more going on in the alternative investment space and in the collectible space than just sports cards. That's obviously our flagship, that's the name of the company, Sports Card Investor. It's what we're extremely passionate about, especially for me. That's, how I got back into this, my childhood hobby. But there are so many other things going on too. And so we've got a lot of plans, a lot of ambitions. And I think Jeff mentioned it in the comment too. We have even a big announcement as early as next week of something that we've been working on.
You want to just leak it right now? It really would help my viewership.
I'll just say it's sports card related.
Okay.
So that's and I think everybody's going to really like it. I think everybody's going to really like it. It's a really exciting new thing that we're going to be bringing to the market, and it's going to be announced on the virtual. So if anybody hasn't registered for our virtual sports card conference next week, you should do that, pre-register, because we're going to be giving away like $40,000 in prizes, and it's going to have tons of guests, including Nat, including Josh Luber, including yourself. So, there's going to be a lot of...
Not Dustin.
Hey, does Brad know that he's on yet? He's like, wait, oh, I'm on it? Oh, okay.
Me? Oh my God.
So that's going to be awesome. So I read through some of the comments on Dustin's, and there's going to be, we're acutely aware our brand has been polarizing. And what's been really exciting is that over the last year, as we've gotten to travel and as we've gotten to go different places and gotten to know people personally, I think there have been more than a few converts who have realized that Jeff really is well-intentioned, well-meaning about this hobby and the growth and health of it overall. And there's still people who think otherwise and have strong opinions. Maybe we'll never win them over, and that's okay. And, there's tons of room in this space. And I've always been one to say that, kind of iron sharpens iron. So we've got competition. You have that in every space, no matter what the industry, and that's a good thing. So unless we're talking about Fanatics, and I guess there's not going to be any, but you know, it's really exciting. And this has just been a crazy year for sports cards as a whole. And if you know, you guys or anybody hasn't read Josh Luber's white paper, tradingcardsarecoolagain.com, go read that. It's a great read. And he kind of breaks down the timeline of all the things that have happened this year. And we will just add this to that list of, you know, Card Ladder being acquired by PSA, and remains to be seen what that means. So I think they'll be talking about that tonight with Nat on Instagram. So I might have to tune in and eavesdrop and see.
I'm going to have to wait for the Spark Notes or, you know, the summary to come out on that book. I was like, I need the 1-page summary, and then I'll go from there. The one question I wanted to ask, though, is with this news, does that change what you guys are doing or anything that you know of in the way that you operate with Market Movers being the way it is right now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we have a pretty clear vision of where we want to go with the tool, and we have Market Movers and we have our Sports Card Investor app. And so we have both of those things, and they share similar data. And that's going to be our primary focus, is going to continue to be scaling our database, adding in more product. We continue to add in more sealed wax. We have plans to add in, you know, trading card games and those things. It's all prioritization, and obviously, you know, a big priority too is getting in multiple data sources, and that's something we've been working on as well. So we feel like we've done a good job with our products so far. I have plenty of stuff in the backlog that, you know, kind of keeps me up at night trying to decide which thing to do next. But it's really exciting also, you know, brainstorming and dabbling outside of that space as well to see how else we can serve the hobby.
Tyler, I've got a question. And we kind of touched on this in the past, kind of off topic a little bit, but I'm kind of a collectibles geek anyway, you know, action figures and video games and comic books and all this stuff. You guys have the capability, the way you're pulling data. You could pull that data for, thank you, Brad. We don't need you. Thanks. You know, you can pull that data for other things. I would assume, you know, is that in the near future? I have to assume that I know Jeff has talked about that a little bit, kind of other collectible spaces getting into it. Is that kind of far off, or is that, you know, maybe sooner than later, some of that stuff?
I mean, that's definitely at the top of our list. Yeah, we want to move into those other spaces and start bringing in other things. You know, depending on the collectible, some of it's more easily, if it's graded, that's easy, like video games and other things. If there's like a certifiable quality, when you get into certain things like memorabilia, that gets a little trickier. It's like, oh, it's signed, but, you know, how does that differ from this one? So, you know, data quality is really important in that aspect. But yes, we want to represent and be active participants in the, you know, broader collectible space as well. And I think we've seen a lot of crossover of that. I know Neo was in the chat too, and he's dabbled in comics. That's on our list. So I think that would be a great way to continue to serve people if they could, you know, log in and have all of their alternative assets in one place and be able to track those in real time.
All right.
I like that Hobby Champs comment. Nat's buying SCI 2, going to merge them into Market Ladder card movers. That would be a hell of a thing.
Man, the SEO, like whoever names their data tool, that is going to be like all over Google's #1 page right there. People are going to be so confused. They're like, I guess I just will buy this.
Yeah.
Start the MLCM movement now. No, but I mean, you know,
the hoodies printed up.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Josh and Chris have had they have a ton of knowledge in the basketball card space, especially, and both of them are very passionate collectors in that space. They've done a great job, especially with 90s, which is my like absolute favorite era. So we share a lot of interests in that way, and I think they're gonna, you know, partnering with Nat, who's obviously passionate about the same things. Like that's why it wasn't a surprise, right? They're all kind of on the same wavelength as far as what they're passionate about. So it'll be interesting to see how they expand that and to move on.
I did see this. Well, thank you for that. Hockey 99 had a good question, and that's one that I actually thought of myself, where I go, what does this mean for the reaction? And I would imagine it's too early to have any sort of like in terms of if the strategy is going to change, or we see how they implement it, if Market Movers would change anything, like, or it's like we're just doing the same as before regardless. Is there anything that you could say in terms of how market movers could change based on this news, or is it really just every day is the same, and you know, you're going to work on the new products, all the cards in your system, or is there any sort of validity to, all right, hold on, based on this, we're going to have to adjust pricing, packaging, marketing, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're running a business, you have to do like a competitive analysis, right? And look at what's the competition doing? What do they offer? What are our differentiators? What's our, you know, a primary value driver? And then how does the pricing stack up? So you evaluate all those things. We do have a completely free app, the Sports Card Investor app, and it has all of the same cards that we have in Market Movers in that app. It just doesn't have the same level of, you know, analytical ability as Market Movers. So when we kind of pushed that out, in essence, in many ways, that was a response to say, we want to make sure that we have something that everybody can use at variable levels of, you know, whether they're just a pure collector, they just like, you know, dabbling in the hobby, looking at things, or if they're a serious investor, more analytical, right? Now, since we launched Market Movers at the same price point that we have today, we've like more than tripled the number of features that we have for the same price. So our kind of initial membership level was what it was. And obviously there was less competition then, but we've continued to make the product better. So we obviously have to do that ongoing analysis, right? And say, okay, do these two plans that we have right now, which are Lite and Pro, which you can see at marketmoversapp.com, please go there. You can check and see how the features stack up. And then maybe it becomes a question of like, people have asked, can I do more like a la carte? Can I only sign up for certain sports? Can I only sign up for certain features? And so that's something we'll definitely consider. We have regular team, all company strategy meetings, and Jeff and Kelly and I meet regularly about a lot of this stuff too. So I would just say we continue to evaluate that. But right now we don't know anything about what Card Ladder's and PSA's partnership is going to look like.
Yeah, I was going to say it's such fresh news that you don't even know, or we don't even know how they're going to be implemented, what this means, where the downfalls are going to be, where they're going to have strengths, and how to adjust, because we still have no idea. So I think that's like when it becomes clear as to this is how it'll be implemented. This is where there's an advantage for market movers to go in, and here's where there's now a disadvantage. That's when you can make a shift in your strategy. But right now it's just kind of like, all right, well, this is big news, obviously, for Card Ladder and PSA. And now let's just see what happens. Yeah.
I mean, I would expect, don't be surprised if, this time next year, there's just as much, crazy things that have happened this year that have happened all over again. And we're going to continue to make the best adjustments that we can to, continue to support our business, but also to continue to support our customers and our community.
Awesome. I know you have to run. You only have 5 to 10 minutes, so I appreciate you coming on and joining us. Any final things you want to say, or pretty much good?
No, I mean, that's, I think definitely check out the virtual next week. Like it should be really entertaining. And if you can't tune in when it's there, all the recordings will be, show up after the fact, but there are going to be a lot of giveaways, and it's something our team puts a ton of effort into. And for me, not nearly as much as many of my colleagues and those in our company. So we put a lot of passion and energy into this, and we want it to be really entertaining. And it's a great way to kind of find out who's who in the hobby if you're just getting into it. So there should be something for everybody. And I hope we'll see a lot of you there next week.
Where can people sign up for that?
Yeah, just go to our website, sportscardinvestor.com. And, or if you go to any of our recent YouTube videos, you'll find the pre-registration link in the like YouTube notes.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it, Tyler.
Right on. Thanks, guys. We'll have to do this again sometime, and it's been a while, so thanks for having me on in short notice, but we'll do a longer one sometime, and I can BS with you a little bit more.
For sure. I'm disappointed in your display. I wanted the whole blue light thing. I wanted it to look super professional and show me up. Now we all look the same.
Yeah. That's the move. That's the move to Georgia, and they're all working on the set for the virtual and everything. So hopefully soon enough. I keep telling Charles, I need my sweet tricked out setup again. So.
That's it, man. That was so much cooler.
Yeah, I agree.
Now you look like one of us.
Yeah,
one of us losers.
Nice beige wall, man.
Yeah. Dustin's background actually looks pretty good compared to yours.
I had it in the shelf.
Yeah,
I really want this shelf to fall.
Yeah.
Would make great YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Shameless plug too. If you haven't checked out Basketball Card Fanatic magazine, check that out too. Go to bcfmag.com. It's awesome if you're into basketball cards. So
awesome, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Much, man.
All right, see you, man.
Bye.
And then there were two.
Now what are we
Me
going
and
to
you.
talk about?
Anyway, so based on that, any new thoughts? Anything change in your opinion, Dustin?
No, I mean, that was kind of what I thought that he was going to say. I mean, I don't think I think it's kind of like what we just said. We just heard the news 2 hours ago. So, there's going to be a lot, I think in the coming days, you figure out kind of more about it. They're going to be on what I think the Card Ladder guys and Nat are going to be on an Instagram live at, I think 9 p.m. Eastern. So what is that, hour and a half or something? I'm sure there'll be more information there. And don't think that we won't have a reaction video to that, friends.
Sorry, Dustin. Sorry, Dustin. You're only going to be able to watch your Saints get owned for 1 quarter tonight.
Yeah. I'm all up in that chat like, hey, I've got another question. I've got a few questions.
Block, restrict, block.
Yeah. Why? How come I can't see anything?
Okay. So since you didn't ask, I'll just say my 2 thoughts on all this is more of a theme. And I've noticed this, and I think this is where we are in the business side of sports cards since it ballooned early 2020, which is, things really went crazy all through 2020 and up until March 2021. And so the first couple months, people were hearing about it and things were really like, holy crap, there's money and what are cards? And let's dig them up and let's submit them. And so there was this absolute crazy period. And then we have people that were in the hobby being able to they were already in the hobby, create new products and services and things like that. And then the last 8 months, 9 months have been this huge cooling off. A lot of flippers left, a lot of people left, a lot of people that just tried it out short term completely left, decided it wasn't for them. They didn't like to lose money, whatever else. But when you see that, okay, hold on, this is an alternative investment class, at least in that very high end spectrum of cards. This is an alternative gambling device where you're not betting on a game or you're not betting on a game, but you're betting on someone's career per se in a certain card. That's when you have these bigger companies. You have like these other platforms, people are DMing me, and I'm bad at DMs on Instagram, so I apologize, but people are DMing me, hey, I have this platform I'm starting. Hey, I have this website. Hey, I have this thing. And so they all start sprouting up because they see what this first 6 to 8 months or year brought, and then they start their business and they're going about it. And then there's this phase that I think we're entering next year, which is like a lot of them will disappear or they'll have to merge, they'll have to get bought out, things like that, where it's more of like a maturing side, not only of the hobby, but of the platforms and the businesses and the content creators. Like, Jeremy of Sports Cards Live, he has a partnership now with Collectible, which is a great opportunity for him. I think that's where the companies are a year and something old, and then now they're looking for the partnerships. Some of them will have to dissolve, they'll lose interest, they'll lose money, and they'll just have to disappear. But I think that's just more of the phase that we'll have in 2022, is not so many startups, not so many new things, but instead a lot of them getting out because the big dogs are emerging, and the big dogs will either just buy you out or will just crush you.
Yeah. I really think that, yes, sports cards have slowed down, a lot of them over the last 7, 8, 9 months, except for some of the high end stuff, what you were talking about. But I'm not really going to believe that like sports cards are dead or, whatever, until I see PSA humming along again, to where they're at least, open for business and have a, if regular is $100, I still don't think 100, 110, I still don't think that's a price point that gets us there yet. But if I think that, if there's a $50 price point or anything below that, if there's if they do get down to a $25 price point, they have no backlog, then cards are officially, people have moved out. Okay. But if there's $25, $50 price points and it's just humming, it's cooking along, then I think it's hard to say like sports cards are dead. I think Look, you've had the largest grading service by a lot. Like, and let's also make that clear too. It's not as if like PSA is one and then BGS, SGC are like right there next to them. No. PSA is pretty far ahead of them.
PSA is Google and the others are Bing. Like,
yeah, I see. Yeah, exactly. It's Yahoo or whatever. Yeah,
or Yahoo, right?
Yeah, no, but that's really what it is. So until we see kind of PSA back to doing its thing, and if there's not interest, then okay, fine. Then there's then the interest is waned. I'll take it. But I feel like the hobby's been handcuffed for months and months and months. I'm making a video tomorrow on Beanie Babies. They're coming back, folks. No, they're not. I'm kidding. But
look, you mentioned a good point. Is the hobby has been handcuffed by this, by the state of, well, we can't send cards in. But on the flip side, I don't want to buy cards now that there'll be twice as many of in 6 months. Like, I'm waiting for 98% or so of the pop reports to be out there, to be complete. I don't want to buy anything that there'll be more of in a week or 2 weeks or a month's time, because like, they would have to do so well, that card would have to do so well to counteract the fact that it's going to become more common and less scarce. So I think there's a lot of people like myself that are like, wait for the entire backlog to be done. Right. And then I will look at the players and the cards that are in the, a couple of years old that aren't being ripped right now and that kind of thing. So I think the last 6, 7, 8 months of 2021 has been a pullback on, okay, there is interest. We are seeing some big media projects. We have huge companies that are investing a lot. There are these funds that are buying up all the scarce cards. We have record-breaking deals. However, that tier below is very much just kind of like a question. It's just like a rough time for that tier below that, where it's the majority of cards, and that will get worked out over time. And when PSA opens up, and when we could look at a card and say, I think there's only going to be, if there's 1,000 of them right now in a PSA 10, there's a good chance there's only going to be 1,100 total, versus there's 1,000 now. There's probably going to be 3,500, in which case you don't want to touch it with a 10-foot stick, knowing that it's only going to go down in value, barring something insane happening.
Yeah. No, it's both sides of the coin. You said it. People can't grade. They can't send in raw to grade properly with PSA. There's not a way to do it, really, unless it's a more higher end card where you're paying $150 and up. And then on the other side, the hobby's smarter than they were 18 months ago, where they're like, wait a second, how many of these might be sitting at PSA now? A year ago, we weren't talking about that necessarily. If you think back like 15 months ago, you go back to just like content creation, we didn't know, we didn't know, we didn't have an idea that there was millions of cards sitting at PSA, and then you throw in BGS and, like, that's been something that's really taken hold over the last 6-7 months, because PSA actually had to close its doors to handle it. And then it was like, oh man, it must be that bad where they had to close down. Because what business wants to close down? That's think about the demand. Like, think about just basic business economics. You have this hot product. You have the most in demand, grading service, and you actually have to shut your doors. You can't take any new business because you're that busy.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, I remember hearing that there was 1 million cards in the backlog and thinking, holy crap, that is a ton. And now when you see the reports coming out where 150 to 200,000 cards are being graded per week.
Well, and then that came out a few months later and was like, hey, we got 600,000 cards on that last day. So that last day before they were like, hey, we're going to be making changes, and everyone just like sent everything in. 600,000 cards in a day that they received. But that was information that we didn't get until later.
Yeah. By the way, where's he at? Jeremy's in the house. Good to see you, Jeremy.
What's up, man?
And he's responding to Jeff's comment. Sports cards have been around for over 100 years. Our country loves to watch sports. That's not going to change. There'll be ebbs and flows in the market, but it's not going away. Definitely not going away. It's just been so crazy the last year and a half, 2 years, where It's just a super hot and then a cooling off and a stabilizing. I think it's just a stabilizing when it's all said and done. And then next year, once they're caught up, I think there'll be regular growth, like what you would expect. Like, okay, 10% growth, and it expands to another country and another resource, but not the over the top exponential growth that we saw in a matter of weeks and months in 2020. This has just been a really big cooling off.
The thing that's kind of sad too, if you think about it, is the manufacturers, and it's not whether you want to blame them or not. They're coming out with basketball product now that has LaMelo Ball rookies. They haven't even gotten to like Cade Cunningham rookie cards in a Pistons jersey. They probably won't be around for 6 months, 9 months, maybe even a year from now. These guys are entering into their second year before we're actually seeing their rookie cards, like all their rookie cards come out. So if you think about it, for somebody coming into the hobby that's looking for the newer product for people that are playing right now, and not necessarily like, oh, I'm going to delve into vintage or whatever it is. They walk in and they're like, oh, I can't even get, I can't get the stuff. And then, okay, if I want a LaMelo Ball rookie card, there's because you can't get them graded. So, everything's real expensive on eBay because the supply is supposedly low. It's not really low. It's just that they're all sitting at PSA waiting to get graded, or they're being held until there's a lower price point, and then they'll go to PSA to get graded. So if you're somebody that's new coming in or someone that's coming back in, it's just so much different. The environment is so different than it was 18 months ago, 2 years ago, when people were coming in and they were like, oh, cool, I can get retail boxes and I can do, you could do everything. And now it's, over the last 9 months, it's all been shut down. And so I think that's the thing that kind of stinks, is that it's the newer people that are looking at it over the last 6 months. They might have been turned away from it because of just the environment, but that environment will get better.
Yeah, it'll get a lot healthier, a lot better. I believe next year. There was a comment, I put it up and then I took it down, but it was on buying raw, and I think buying raw is a great idea now, just because if you like the card and you're not paying the price of the card raw based on what it will grade. Like if you believe it's going to grade a PSA 10, I would never pay close to a PSA 10 price for a raw card, even subtracting what that service level would look like, because I would just never do it. But if you're actually buying a card raw, I think that's just like one of the best things to do right now, just because you can always sell it raw. You buy a card raw, you sell it raw. You could go and grade it at some point, but you don't have to. You have the option. And at the end of the day, the card is really what we care about. The grade and the grading company is just like this crazy nuance that makes the card way more scarce, potentially based on the condition that a specific grader says it's in from a specific company that we either highly respect or we don't respect as much. So I think the raw cards, especially in person, is just the play.
Well, and you look at like Burbank, it actually surprised me that Burbank, arguably the largest seller of sports cards in the country, or one of them, that the majority of their stuff is raw. I think I heard them say that like 75 to 80% of their sales are raw. They're not graded cards. Yeah, I saw.
That gets me in trouble, Will. Gets me in trouble. Yeah, well, I mean, but most card shops don't have that inventory or that capability. So if you're here in LA, yeah, you have that advantage of one of the biggest sellers has a lot of raw cards, and the headquarters of PSA is right here. So you could perhaps get your submissions earlier. I don't know if that's a thing, but you could at least go through some local card shops or something and get it sooner. But for the rest of us, I just feel like getting raw cards right now is just the safest bet, especially if you're paying a good price and you're inspecting it yourself. Maybe right now the best thing you can do is just get really good at spotting flaws and being able to really decipher between an 8 and a 9 or a 9 and a 10, or at least get those odds up. So when you go to shows, you have your magnifying lamp, you're able to look very closely and at least have a good shot of a 10. If you're pretty good at it and you get a 50% gem rate based on your eyes, that's a great skill to pick up now, and then you can buy those cards.
That's a good point, because I mean, you think about over this past year, how many people have just been like, how many people are not willing to wait until PSA is at, a price point that they're comfortable with? So they're probably selling. I mean, there's probably a lot of really nice raw cards. I know that there used to be kind of like, don't buy a raw card off of eBay because it's probably been looked over and it's probably not gradable. Well, you could argue this year that maybe people just want to get out of that card. They don't necessarily want to wait they don't want to wait for PSA, and they don't want to grade it somewhere else. Because I've also seen a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm not going to go to SGC or BGS or CSG. I want to wait for PSA or not even bother.
Well, that's another big question mark is if and when PSA, let's just say if PSA brings back a $15 per card service, maybe 15, maybe they're like good with that. And maybe they do caps on it where it's like it's $15 a card. However, we know we're going to cap it at X amount per week or per person or something like that. So it's not just a flood, but they can actually open the floodgates, like they can control it versus it just overwhelming them. Well, now all of a sudden, what does that mean for BGS, SGC, and all the others? And, when I think about it, I'm like, SGC prices, a lot of the companies out there, their prices just don't compare to PSA. And that's with them having the advantage of being able to take cards while PSA can't even take cards in that price range. To send in cards to SGC or others, it would be very short term. I'd want to send them in and sell before PSA opens that tier. Because if they open that tier and those cards start flooding out from PSA, I feel like the values of the other companies will just drop even more. Like like personally, if I had all these raw cards, I would hold out for PSA unless it was get it graded, sell it for some profit, and then move it before PSA announces they'll be open for business. But otherwise, I would just hold for the long term.
I wonder, this is going off on a tangent. We don't have to really go talk much about it. It's just a thought that I had, but I wonder if Fanatics will go the route of selling. So instead of you buying a pack of cards and then figuring out where am I going to grade this, them selling you product that already is graded. So it's brand new product. It's brand new, whatever, Prism, let's just say. But every single card in that pack or the box or whatever it comes in is already graded.
But who's grading it?
Well, and I wonder how they do that. If maybe they rotate it, like you're going to get 4 cards and they're all, I don't know, they're going to be, PSA, BGS, you'll get like one from each company or I don't know. Like, if they want to be fair, or whatever, because I know Fanatics, I believe Michael Rubin is tied, I think, to CSG, to CGC. I think that Blackstone and that's all tied together. I don't think, though, that they're just going to, that they would come out with just like CSG slabs. I would assume that maybe, they've got a mix. I don't know. It was just a thought, but I was just thinking because they're looking to streamline and be more efficient and they're trying to maybe get a piece of that pie to where it's like, hey, don't worry. You won't have to worry about getting that card graded. It's going to come to you graded, right out of the box.
I mean, it's just interesting because then you go, well, can you really manufacture cards and have them graded and then get anything besides a 10? Because now you're pretty much...
And there'll be issues of like, did they, is there collusion? How did these grades come about and this sort of thing? So I get that, but I think from just a point of, from convenience sake, if there's a way to maybe spread it out between the companies, I don't know. It's just a thought. I thought that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, also as a company, when you see that there's a profit to be made in this whole other aspect of the hobby and you have the resources, it makes sense to say, how do we get in on grading where we could save people time and money and we can make money? That's just a normal business.
Yeah, and I heard them. I think it was Josh Luber he was in an interview recently, and he's like, honestly, we're not in a hurry to compete with PSA and these other grading companies. They're already established. Even Fanatics with all their resources, if they open Fanatics grading, it's not as if everybody would flock to Fanatics grading. I mean, it would take time to, just like with every grading company, to build rapport and do all that stuff. So, I mean, that'd be kind of tricky to do.
I mean, I wonder if it could be kind of like a star stock thing where if they are more direct to consumer, it could be a buy your pack, your box, your whatever card, and then it streamlines to whatever grading company and gets sent to you. I don't know. I think we're thinking far out. But look, with the way that PSA acquired Card Ladder and we see these big companies emerging, the main data tools, the main platforms, I mean, pretty much Fanatics, Fanatics, eBay, and PSA are pretty much the Google, Apple, Tesla of of our market, or I would say not Tesla, but someone else, Google, Amazon, Amazon of our industry, where they have the resources, they have the business, and now it's up to them as to who they put out of business or gobble up and acquire or partner with or whatever else. And so I think that's just the next stage of where the hobby's at, is the big dogs get bigger, and they do it by acquiring a lot of these other ones that are proven, but not at that level, but they find opportunity in. And then all the other platforms, the other grading companies, the whatever else probably disappears sometime next year, or like at least a lot of them. That's my guess.
We have to start warming up for our Fanatics show. Welcome to Fanatics, sports car show, off-centered. Brought to you
Well, we're gonna move to Friday, Fanatics Friday, guys.
We just start calling it Fanatics Friday, even though they have nothing to do with it. They're like, why are they calling it Fanatics when we don't endorse them or anything?
We will. All right,
man.
Anyway,
I gotta get to the football game.
Yeah, football's on. I have to pee. I actually didn't pee before. I had vegetables that were burning on the stove, so that's what I did earlier when Teapot was on.
The new apartment is on fire. Perfect.
Yeah. Where's the fire extinguisher? Isn't it illegal not to have one in here? All right, guys. Enjoy your football. Enjoy your weekend. I will be back probably next week with Dustin, hopefully Wednesday night, back on schedule, and we'll go from there. I really got to pee, and I'm getting hangry as well. So have a great night. Thanks for joining us again, and talk to you next week.
See you guys.
See ya.